Hello and welcome back to the Emotions at Work video series. I'm Stéphanie Mitrano from Innovation Copilots. In this fourth video, I will show you a way to build new emotional strategies. This means finding how to respond differently than your usual automatic response. In this approach, it has two steps. First, you need to recognize your own pattern of emotional thinking and behaving. And secondly, you need to find alternative behaviors. But let's start with the first step. For step one, you will need several ingredients. One is to put on your researcher hat, meaning being detached and looking for data. Data being your life experiences and looking at them with detachment. I know this is not an easy task, but we'll try to do that. The second ingredient is the self-love. Basically, it's accepting yourself, accepting to look at yourself with honesty, but also with kindness and patience and non-judgment. This means that you will not add negative or positive judgment about what you felt in the past or how you behaved. It is what it is. Now we will treat all your past life experiences as data. The third element is you need a journal. Yes, you need some way of recording all that data. I usually find that writing is much better than typing for this exercise, but do whatever works for you. And last, you need to spend some time. But basically, it's giving yourself time regularly to write in that journal to record all the data. With these ingredients, you're ready for identifying the patterns, your own emotional patterns. You need to record in your journal your emotional life experiences. You can go way in the past, but also you can record recent or current experiences as they appear. Using the mechanics of emotions that we've seen in video 1, use it as a guide to write down as many details as you can about your emotional experience. First, look at the stimuli or different stimulus that are happening in that experience, whether it's the event, the people involved, the context, where it was, when. Sometimes the smallest details can make the difference in understanding what's going on for you. So don't hesitate to write down as many details as you can recall. Second, think of writing your thoughts. It is really about what did you perceive specifically, meaning that you might have been sensitive to something very specific, like the volume of the voice or the tone of the voice of someone, or the words they used, certain words maybe specifically. It can be about this gesture, but also it can be about the context, the place, the time, anything about what you perceived. Also, think about recording your thoughts as your interpretation. This is your usual kind of internal running commentary about what you tell yourself in your head, like, oh, she's angry, oh, he doesn't like me, or this is always the same in this company. Note the different use of certain words because they might be indicators of the emotion that's rising, like words like always, never, very. Can be indicators that there's emotional talk here. Also, think about noting down your judgments and evaluations. Things like, oh, this is unfair, I hate this behavior is toxic, all of these evaluations that you make in your head. Note that maybe some values or some needs are being affected in that situation, so it's important to recognize which one. It can be maybe a need for recognition or some family values, respect, autonomy, anything that you think at that time something tipped the scale in your evaluation. Thirdly, record the emotions, or maybe it's the name of the emotion that you felt, or the sensations you had physically, your heartbeat going faster, maybe some tension in your shoulders or agitation in your legs. Being aware of these physical signals can serve as warning signals and hence be useful for triggering new strategies, but we'll see more about that another time. Also, note down your automatic response or the behavior you had in this situation. Remember, here it's just observe what was the behavior. not judge it. Anything is a behavior, so note down even if not reacting or being silent is also a behavior. So note that down. And then note the impact of your behavior, the impact that it has on your relationship, but also on the performance. How did it change maybe the situation, or how did the situation evolve following your behavior? And also note down how you felt about yourself. Did you feel good or bad or proud or terrible? Just note down how you felt about this. Now, if you do this several times, at least 4 times, I would say, for various experiences, you will start seeing some patterns, some elements that keep repeating, and it may be some cluster or special combination of maybe some stimuli and thoughts. So, for example, when your boss or some authoritative figure is involved while you're receiving some public remarks, and combined with your evaluation of the situation, saying this criticism is unfair. It can be a combination also of a specific emotion with some thoughts that you're having. Remember here the video number 2 about the purpose of emotion. There are some strong links between your values and your emotion. So maybe some values about equality are under attack. That's what you're thinking, and the emotion, you're feeling hot, you're feeling angry, and you're ready to explode. Maybe you have identified some patterns around some emotion and behavior that you're having. So every time you feel fear, you feel like everything's accelerating, and your body is kind of ready to attack the source of danger that you have perceived. So here again, what's important is really to identify your own patterns, see things that are repeating, seeing what you're sensitive to, what are the triggers for you, and what kind of usual behavior that you're having. It is not about judging it, it's just about observing, and these will give us some cues about what to do next and what strategies we can put into place. And then step 2, which is about constructing new potential behavior path. You need some ingredients here as well. So you need here to put your creative hat on, because we need to get some inspiration and think outside of your usual thinking process. We still need some self-love. Please be kind to yourself. It's not always easy to change patterns, so take your time, be kind. And you need to listen to yourself as well. And when I say listening to yourself, it can be about listening to the message of the emotion, listening to how you feel, what's important to you. Try to be your own best friend. So don't judge your best friend, just support them. So you support yourself. To build these new patterns, you might want to start with what is the message that this specific emotion that is being triggered in that pattern is telling you. It's important to really listen to that. It will give us some ideas of maybe what kind of alternative or strategy we can build. So maybe your emotion is saying, I need to feel safe, or this situation needs to change, or I need support. So depending on the message, obviously you will build different strategies. Second, you want to identify what could be an alternative response. Now, if you have the message in mind, obviously, that can be a hint already of what kind of response you might want. But you really need to envision that potential other behavior that you would have liked instead of your automatic response. We often overly focus on what we don't want, like I don't want to shout, I don't want to get angry, I don't want to be silent, or I don't want this. But we don't give our brain an alternative. We don't explore what could be the other behavior. So, for example, I like to use this example because that's what I try to do. It's not always easy. But let's say I'm facing a criticism. I'd like to, instead of defending myself and over justifying, I would like to pause, feel very present and engaged with the person who's criticizing me, and ask for more explanations. hence regaining some power in the direction of the conversation. And I like to use this image of the matrix because it is about slowing down time and slowing down my response. So imagine, I receive criticism as an attack and I can see it as a bullet coming towards me. I'm trying to slow down, not react, and pick up the bullet, for example, or one of them here in that case, and instead of trying to just get rid of it or be scared that it might have, hurt me, focus on offering it back to whoever sent it and ask for what does this mean. Now, I know it sounds easy when I say it now, and it's very difficult to do while you're in the heat of the moment. And this is because your automatic response is like a motorway for your brain. It has become such a well traveled path that it's just faster and effortless to actually just do the old pattern and the old way of responding to such an event. But we can create new path. But we need to start walking it, and it's like going through the jungle. At first, it is very busy, loads of plants, and you need your machete and going through all that jungle, and you can't really see clearly where you're going, etc. But the more you walk that path, the more it the plants are giving way, and it becomes easier and easier to to walk that path. And even if it's not easy in the beginning, with discipline, it does become your new motorway, your new path. But you have to create that alternative for your brain and offer it as a possibility. If you don't have any alternative, then your brain will just go automatic response. That's the easiest, and it doesn't spend loads of energy. We will see in another video how to activate this new behavior, but you need to at least identify what new behavior you want. What kind of state do you want to be in facing a criticism, for example, or when is a new and scary event, what is your first reaction? Do you freeze, or do you want to still learn about what is this potential danger? So again, really try to be subtle in understanding what new behavior you want. So in summary, and just to give you a little let's say best practice, first understand your own emotional pattern. Play the data scientist on yourself. I would suggest to pick only one pattern to start with. Maybe pick the most difficult one for you, or the one that is more obvious. So pick one of these patterns to focus on. Look at the message from that emotion that you felt, and then be creative and identify one or more other ways, other alternatives that you would like to respond. You can find inspiration in others as well, and I will share an exercise on that in another video. 4, make sure that the new behavior that you identify is as detailed as possible. Try to describe how you feel in your body, what you're thinking, what the consequences will be. Really envision that new behavior in a detailed, so that you give it meat in a way, you give it substance, and it starts also to take space in your mind, and it really starts to become a potential, a possibility. Then whenever the pattern starts to unfold, now this is where the warning signals, if you've identified them, become really useful, because then they can help you know when to trigger the new behavior. So just try the new behavior, and it might not work first time, maybe not even second time, but be patient. Just really, with discipline, try to give yourself this kind of non-judgmental and kind to yourself, and say, I'm going to try and do this. It's like you could support a child who's learning to walk. You don't say, oh, it didn't succeed first time, so let's forget it, you won't be walking ever. It's more about repetition, flexing the muscles so that your brain starts to build this new path for you. And it will take a bit of time and repetition so that it can become your new automatic response. I trust this video has given you some food for thought and, more importantly, some practical way to move forward in your emotional development journey. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more techniques.